Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Soka Yus. I'm a financial wellness counselor here at Mayo Employees Federal Credit Union. In today's topic, we're going to talk about some of the benefits of meeting with a financial wellness counselor. So at this time, I'm one of three. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please reach out to us. This is my contact information. If you can't reach us here, you can go to our website, mayocreditunion.org. And just go to the financial education portion of it, the tab of it, and then click on that, and then reach out to us. If you can't go to the website, you can always call us on the main phone number and ask for one of us, and then we'll be more than happy to get in touch with you if we're in meetings and stuff. But this is my contact information. It'll be here at the end of the meeting too, so if you can't write it down now, you can always wait till the end of the presentation. At any time, if you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to ask us. Just raise your hands, or if you're online, just send a message through the chat. Or if you're watching this a little bit later too, you can more than welcome to send us an email or give us a phone call. So we'll go ahead and get started here. So on the agenda today, we're going to talk about the financial assessment and goal settings, debt management strategies when working with financial wellness counselor, budgeting and expense tracking, education on financial products and services that we have available here at the credit union, and some of the emotional support and stress reduction that we offer here too, when meeting with financial wellness counselor. So the financial assessment and goal setting. When I first meet with people, what usually happens is how I get in contact with people is sometimes through presentations like this, they reach out to me, or sometimes it's, through information from our support team, our member services representative or our phone call center. They said that, if you express to them that, I can't, I don't know what's going on with my finances. I'm feeling stressed about it all the time, or I can't make my car payment this month or my mortgage this month, then they would suggest you that you speak with financial wellness counselors. Absolutely free to work with me. And then when you do get in touch with me, we can schedule an appointment, whether it's over the phone or whether it's through Teams meeting or through Zoom or in person. Then we would initially talk about what it is that you want to talk about. What is your current financial situation? What is the ultimate goal? What is considered success for you after a meeting? After meeting with me. So we talk about your current financial picture. What does that look like? Is it something that, are you going through divorce and you need a second set of eyes on your finances? If you need to talk about what your new picture looks like, what your new financial future looks like for you, how do you deal with that? So we take a look at your current financial picture and try to assess, how do you feel about your current finances where you are now? Is it something that's causing you stress, or do you have a lot of questions about your current financial picture? So a lot of times when people meet with me, it's not basically about budgeting, or it's not about debt management. It's mainly about just use me as a sounding board. Am I doing the right thing with my money? What should I do with the rest of my money? Where does it go? If I want to vacation in Hawaii for half a year, or if I want to travel Europe for a year, is it in my budget? How do I budget for something like this? So just because people are meeting with me, that doesn't mean that they're in dire need, or that doesn't mean that they're bad with their finances. It's just a matter of, another person, a confidential person that has experience in this field to chat to you about your personal finances, And then so we would talk about, some of the information that we would gather, whatever it is that we're talking about. If you're having a hard time paying your bills or credit cards, then, we would talk about your income, your expenses, and some of your debts, and different ways and how we can get out of that situation. Whatever it is that you were meeting about, we would gather a little bit more information on that, right? But typically when I do meet with people, I would like them to know their income, their numbers, some of the basic numbers, right? What is your income? What is your take-home pay after taxes? What is your take-home pay before taxes? What are some of the deductions you have coming out of your payroll? What is going towards your 401k, your 403b? Do you have an FSA, flexible savings account that you're paying towards? What kind of bills do you have? What are some of the basic numbers, right? So what are some of the expenses? Your mortgage, your rent, those basic numbers. I want you to understand what those are. And another thing that I want people to understand as part of their basic numbers, what are some of your deductibles? How much is your car payment, your car deductible in case something happens, your comprehensive deductible or collision deductible? Is there one? Your medical insurance deductible, how much is that? And homeowners insurance deductible, how much is that? Do we need to save towards that? Those are some of the basic numbers that I really want people to kind of have a knowledge about, just know in the back of your head and put it towards savings, So mainly about gathering information. A first meeting is typically about an hour. Sometimes it's 2 hours. You'd be surprised how fast the 2 hours go by. When you're meeting with someone new, they're coming in, you're gathering information. Next thing you know, it's an hour and a half, and we have to schedule another meeting. I typically meet with people more than once, and again, it's free every single time. And we just need to schedule an appointment, whether it's one time or whether it's every 2 weeks or so, that we need to touch base with one another. After we gather all the information, then we identify your goals. Is your goal to get out of debt? Is your goal to figure out where to put the rest of your extra money? Is your goal to budget for a new house, a baby, daycare coming up? What is your goal? We want to identify your goals. And we'll create short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals. What does that look like for you? And we want to prioritize which goals to go for first, right? And we want to set due dates for those goals too. Then we'll go through a financial analysis. Once the goals are identified, once we know your basic numbers, and we identify your goals, then I work with you to complete your analysis of your current financial situation and where you want to go. How possible is it for you to reach this goal within 6 months? If you want to save for a house, if you want to do 20% down on a down payment on a home, how possible is that for you with your current finances and with your current expenses for you to reach this goal within a year, 2 years, or 6 months, whatever the situation may be? So that's something we work towards also. I work with a lot of people with debt management strategies, how to pay off your debt. So a lot of times I want you to kind of figure out your numbers. Again, this is one of your basic numbers. Know your credit score, know how much debt you owe, know who you owe. Are you in collections? Are you behind on those debt too? So we want you to gather your information on your debt situation. What kind of debt do you hold? Are they payday loans? Are they credit cards, mortgages, student loans? The student loan environment going on right now, it's a lot of confusion going on. But at least know your basic numbers. Who do you owe? Do you know your interest rates that you owe on those student loans? Do you have multiple, or do you only have one student loan? What about your auto loans? How many months, how many payments do you have left? What kind of interest rates do you have on it? What other debt do you have? So those are part of the basic numbers, right? But in order for us to manage our debt, we have to know what kind of debt we're trying to manage and how much you owe and where they're at. And then we'll go ahead and put a list together, your debt prioritization. Do we want to pay the high interest rate first, or do we want to go ahead and just, do the debt snowball where we pay the smallest balance first and then work our way towards paying the biggest one last? And we roll over all the payments towards each debt. So we could try to figure out which debt we want to pay off first, what method we want to pay off first, and then debt relief is working with me. Is that the best route for you to reach your debt repayment goal, or do we need to look into finding you consumer credit counseling or debt management? What is the difference? We'll talk about the education on that. I have a lot of people that reach out to me and said, you know what, I was just at my wit's end. I feel like I was scammed by a debt management company. I gave all my money, $500 a month that they were asking, and nothing came out of it. Now they're not giving my money back. Well, it might not be a scam. It might be, as part of the business, strategy that they're going for. But just know who you're dealing with when it comes to debt management company and consumer credit counseling. Consumer credit counseling is a nonprofit for the most part, and debt management companies are mainly for profit. When you get with a debt management company, they typically want you to pay a certain amount, a set amount, let's say $500, into an escrow account with them. And then when they have enough in that escrow account, they'll reach out to each one of your creditors and they'll offer a settlement. But that typically requires you to stop making payments on those debt first, which result in your credit score tanking, going down really, really fast because you're not making payments on your debt, and that way it goes into collections. And then your interest rate will cease. A lot of times if it goes to third-party collections, your interest rate will no longer accrue. So that's part of their method too. So just be careful. You find yourself in a situation where you're looking up consumer credit counseling or debt management, please reach out to us. It's a free service to work with us. You know how to get yourself out of debt and stuff. Do you need to get debt consolidation or, debt consolidation loan? Do you need to get a personal loan, debt consolidation loan as a lump sum and then pay your debt off? Is that the best bet for you? Is the interest rate going to be better for you than what you're currently paying now? That's something that we can help you determine also. And then, of course, when you're working with a consumer credit, a financial wellness counselor will, of course, educate you and, on your credit and help you monitor your credit too, if that's what you need help with. We need to, if you have a hard time accessing what's on your credit report, we can help you pull that up too and determine what is on here. Is everything on here accurate? Is your name, address, phone number, your social security number, your employer, all your debts on here? Is that correct? If it's not correct, then we can help you go and dispute that as well. So just know your numbers, know where things are at. If all of this is giving you anxiety, if you're not able to pull up your credit report because it's giving you so much anxiety to look at all these numbers and stuff, but by all means, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to help you out with that. There's plenty of people that I work with that just says, you know what, here's my login information, tell me what I need to do. And it's not a matter of me telling you what to do, it's just us working through it together. Do you need help talking to your credit card company? If you want to dispute something or ask questions, sometimes it's a lot of, anxiety-inducing, things that cause people to not look at their bank statements or credit card statements. If you find yourself in that situation, I think it's a good time for you to work with someone else, like a financial wellness counselor. And of course, we want you to make your plans to help you see a difference a lot sooner, right? The sooner you reach out to us, the sooner we can help you get back on track, whether on track looks like repaying your debt on time, whether on track looks like putting more money towards your savings account. And of course, with debt relief, there's outside services, that we have available here in Rochester or at other areas too. Family Means is a nonprofit company that's here in Minnesota, but we want you to be very, very careful when it comes. There's a lot of scams and frauds out there when it comes to debt management companies. We have a lot of other local resources that we can help out and work with you on finding that too. When it comes to debt consolidation, simplify debt repayment, potentially lower your interest rate by combining all your debt into a single loan. So that might be a lot easier for you to keep track of. You only have one interest rate that you have to deal with, only one payment that you have to deal with. So if you find yourself in this situation, you think your credit score is fairly okay, or if once you and I meet and we determine maybe this is the best bet for you, then we can have you talk with a loan officer and start the process of trying to get a debt consolidation loan to help you repay your debt off. But typically it's, when you talk to a financial wellness counselor, we can kind of walk you through different steps that you need to take. What is the best bet? Is maybe bankruptcy is the best bet for you, for you to talk to a bankruptcy attorney, or maybe it's a debt consolidation loan, like it's mentioned here, or maybe it's just, just to do one of the debt repayments and do, a debt snowball method or an avalanche method, whatever debt management method that we may have available that may work best for your budget, So another strategy, types of debt repayment plans, is snowball, as mentioned before. You want to list your debt by order of balance from lowest to highest. You want to pay the smallest one first to build momentum. A lot of times this works for a lot of people, because when you pay off the smallest one first, it kind of, give you that small win. I pay this off, I feel good about myself, let's just go ahead and move on to the next big debt and pay that one off too, so it builds that momentum. The avalanche just lists your debt off by interest rates from highest to lowest, so that way you pay the debt with the highest interest rate first and helps you save a lot of money over time. Consolidation may help you determine the best type of plans too. We provide education guidance and responsible credit management practices to help members avoid future debt issues. And that includes your budget plan, how to use credit cards wisely, improve your credit scores, and different ways to improve your credit scores and avoid predatory lending too. So when it comes to budget and expense tracking, a lot of times when I meet with people, this is part of the initial assessment, right? We want to gather the data, the income, the expenses, the debt, and the financial goals, right? We want to establish clear goals with set due dates, make sure your goals fit your current financial situation and also your future financial situation. If you find yourself only making, $50,000, $60,000 this year, but next year you're going to be making $100,000, $200,000, we want to we want to reflect that as well. What does your budget look like for this year, and what is it going to look like for you next year? Should we move on over to more debt management for next year and pay off your student loans a lot faster, or should we work towards saving more towards a down payment on a house, or saving for a family and stuff? What is the best situation for you? I do provide a budget spreadsheet. It should be on our website also. But if it's not on our website, you can reach out to us and then we can go ahead and provide that spreadsheet for you. So based on the spreadsheet, it's based off of your goals and your expenses. We can create a personalized budget that's realistic and sustainable for you. So this is kind of a basic example. So we want to make our budgeting as simple as possible, right? So write down the numbers, right? We talked about numbers, create your monthly expenses, your income. We want to know how much income is coming into your household, is hitting your checking account, your credit card, whatever it may be. You want to create a list of all your expenses, some of your fixed bills. That's your mortgage, your rent, your insurance, your student loans, your internet. So it's due on pretty much the same day each month, pretty much the same amount each month. Those are fixed bills, right? Then you want to list off your variable expenses like your groceries. It's going to change from season to season. You know, your grocery bill may be a little bit bigger during the summertime when all the kids are at home. But once they start school, you know, your grocery bill might be a little bit less, and then you might shift a little bit extra towards school lunches or whatever it may be, or school activities and stuff. So they're variable expenses, right? But we still want to set a goal to cap that off. As a family of four in Rochester, according to the USDA website, family of four in Rochester is spending about $1,000 a month on groceries. So if your goal is to be a little bit less than $1,000 a month, we can make that a goal for you too. But we want you to be realistic. You know, we want you to audit your accounts too. In the last 2-3 months, you've been spending $2,000 on groceries, and all of a sudden you want to make $800 a goal as, you know, a cap for your groceries. That might not be realistic right away, but we can work towards that, right? So we can always set that as a goal. And I always encourage people to have different categories in savings. Your emergency savings is different than your Christmas savings. The new tires, you know, have different savings category. Then set that as part of your monthly expenses too, so that way you can pay yourself first. And so that way when you start paying yourself, then you force yourself to save all that money for your financial goals. So again, going back towards financial goals, we want to know different goals that you have and different due dates that you have for those goals, and then you can set them as your bills too, and just automate your savings directly from your payroll to your savings account. Okay, you want to compare your total expenses to your monthly income and see what's left over for savings. You want to list your savings goals, of course, and then automate your savings. And then you can start saving towards your financial goals, whether it's long-term goals or short-term goals, whatever that may look like for you. So when it comes to expense tracking, we can do different budgeting methods. I really like to do the zero-based budget, where you kind of pretty much show, you know, everything is set out to the $0. So here we have $690 left, but you can split that up over different savings goals, right? The zero-based budget works really well for a lot of people that I work with, simply because you're telling every dollar where to go. You're giving it a job, right? So you're not just letting $200-300 sit around and not do anything. You're directing every dollar and telling them what to do. So zero-based budget really works for a lot of people. But if you find it easier to do the 50-30-20 rule, meaning 50% goes towards your fixed expenses, 30% towards discretionary, and 20% towards debt and savings, that might work well for a lot of people too. Or if you just want to go old school and do the envelope system, you know, just stuff your money in an envelope and say, this envelope's for groceries, this envelope is strictly for gas. Once I run out of the cash in this envelope, then there's nothing left for me to put towards that until next payday. So that will work for some people too. The envelope stuffing system. So for some people that you'd like to use their credit card or debit card for everyday life, that's fine. You can put just regular Monopoly cash into an envelope system and just pretend it's real cash, you know. Sometimes you just gotta go old school and just use cash. I still like the cash method. So reviewing spending habits. We want to look for patterns. What can be reduced, right? So once you start auditing your accounts, you start to see your patterns. Why am I spending so much money around this time of year? Why am I spending so much money, you know, when I'm stressed out? And, you know, if you don't realize that you're doing that in the first place, by auditing some of your accounts, you can really, you know, take a look at your patterns, so that way you can identify that and start correcting it. So, and also you can identify saving opportunities too. When you audit your accounts, you can see that you no longer need all these streaming services. You no longer need all these subscription services. So you can cancel all those too. So you can save that money and put it towards your financial goals. We can adjust your budget as members' financial situation changes or unexpected expenses arise. We can work together to make a new plan too. So just because we have a budget, just because we have it in, you know, a nice, colorful little Excel spreadsheet, that doesn't mean we can't change it. We want to change it according to your lifestyle, right? So if this month, this is what's doable for you, next month it might be something different. We can adjust it to that. The goal is that we want to adjust your budget according to your lifestyle, but still have the focus on your financial goals as well. One of the most important thing I like people to have is emergency fund planning. So make that as part of your priority. That's why emergency funds savings is part of the top of the list too. It's a key part of budgeting process, and it'll help you determine how much you need for each to save and how to reach that goal. But also know the difference. Your emergency savings is different than, again, your Christmas savings, than your vacation savings. We don't want to touch your emergency savings, because the moment you don't have your emergency savings, and of course an emergency comes, you end up putting it on your credit card, and that puts you a little bit further into debt too, and that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. Education, financial products and services. So we can provide information on various products and savings that can help you. We have several, different account savings available, loan options available as well. We have CDs, we have used CDs, regular CDs too. Money market accounts and checking accounts that doesn't, charge you monthly fees if you don't have a minimum amount in there. There's some banks out there that charge you $15 a month if you don't have a minimum of, let's say, $500 transferred or do a direct deposit in there each month. Ours will never charge you for that. And we have, of course, emotional support, right? It's always good to talk to someone about your finances. It's one of those things that's still kind of taboo to talk about. There's a lot of people that's transitioning and have to, from one lifestyle to another, that's going through divorces or whatever the situation may be. They lost that partner that they don't have anymore to talk about finances with. And there are some couples and families out there that just don't talk about finances, and of course, it's kind of still a taboo to talk about it with your friends. But there's a trend going around that's, encourage people to budget out loud, right? Talk about what's going on with your finances a little bit more, so that way you don't feel so trapped in it, you don't feel so alone in it. So sometimes people just kind of want to talk about their finances with me, whether they don't really need the budgeting portion of it, they don't really need the guidance portion of it, they just kind of want to talk about, am I doing okay? Maybe you just need that reassurance too that you're doing okay. Challenging times, setbacks, money anxiety can create a need for emotional support, and that's where I come in, and other financial wellness counselors come into behavioral coaching. We can kind of take a look and see how you got there in the first place, and we can work on correcting that before you get further into debt or before you get into debt. Changing habits is hard, and we can help you develop healthier ones and help determine different coping mechanisms and what you're going through in life. It's a safe and non-judgmental environment. We want you to know that when you're here, everything is confidential. When you talk to me, everything stays in the office and it's very confidential. Not only do I meet with members, I meet with coworkers as well. So everyone wants to talk about money at one time or another. So it's a safe, non-judgmental environment. We want you to feel comfortable discussing your financial concerns, your fears, and your goals. So that's really, really important that I create an environment for people to feel that's safe, feel safe to talk about some of their financial fears, and some of their goals. We can also help you refer to additional resources too. If I feel like I'm not the best fit for you, and if I feel like there's, someone else in the community that might be a better fit for you, I'm more than happy to refer you to those additional resources as well. So if necessary, I refer members to additional resources or services that can help them reach their financial goals, obviously without judgments, without any fears or anything. So I encourage people to chat with other people, with other financial wellness counselor, whether it's with me or whether it's a financial credit counseling company. But before you reach out to a debt management company, please reach out to us too and see if that is the best bet for you. So. But if there's no questions in here or online, I'll just go on to the final page and give you my email and phone number. Again, this will be on our website too, mayocreditunion.org, and it'll be on the financial education tab. So, and that concludes the very short presentation today. Please stay tuned for Michelle's presentation. She has a great one coming up here. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today, and have a wonderful day. Thank you. Thank you.